Hello everyone, this is Spacenik. Welcome to week 3 of the Holy Host Providers. Our topic this week is the closet, coming out or staying in. And, well, this could be the queer closet or the religious closet, because surprisingly, both experiences, at least for me, are they intersect a lot. But before I launch into that, I'm going to tell you a bit about my week, which has been pretty hit or miss. I got a haircut, which is good. I went to a barbershop. Sprained a muscle in this area. I missed a day of work. It was a really stupid reason too. Hole punching. Of all the things, I really have to work out. Um, I'm still a teeny bit stiff, but it's not nearly as bad as it was. On Tuesday night, I saw a free screening of the documentary Punk Jews, which is super awesome. It was at a Reform synagogue in the Upper West Side of Manhattan, and the filmmakers were actually there, as well as some of the people who participated. So it was really neat to be able to listen to questions and hear from them directly. It added a lot to the experience. And basically, what the documentary is, it's an examination of Jewish identity in the 21st century. And so the people that they're looking at have reinvented or redefined their Jewish identity for the new century. So you get people like Hasidic punk rockers to a man who grew up in a Hasidic community in upstate New York who left but now is going back to expose abuse in that system, to Jews of color, to a contortionist, a Jewish contortionist whose Judaism, or Jewish identity, I should say, and contortionism intersect in surprising ways, and a Yiddish theater troupe. So it's really neat. I could have sat there for like 4 hours watching just all these people talk, but it was unfortunately pretty short, like an hour. So that was neat. I also saw the Israeli film Fill the Void, Lemale et HaHalal, which was really good and fascinating because, well, it's rare for a number of reasons. One of them being that, well, it's a Haredi film. It's about Haredim, the ultra-Orthodox community in Israel, but it's made by a Haredi director. And not only that, but she's a woman, which is like unheard of. So it's coming from a very unique place, and it treats the tradition entirely respectfully. So there's a lot of there's a lot of representation of Haredim in the media and in movies and TV shows, but it's nice to see it coming from within rather than an outsider's perspective. So yeah. So basically, for my upcoming little spiel, I'm going to divide it into two parts really, and talk first about coming out, or staying in the queer closet, and then do the religious closet. So yeah, I hope you enjoy. So my history with the queer closet is a long and tangled one. Basically, over the course of, I don't know how many years now, almost 10 years, maybe, I've come out as multiple different identities, to varying reactions as I've tried to figure out my identity. And now I'm in a comfortable place, so I'm thinking of this as kind of like, not the end point, because coming out never ends. You're always coming out to somebody, but as kind of like a major milestone in my identity finding process. So basically, when I was a young preteen, I thought I was a lesbian because I thought, well, I don't like men, so I must like women, right? Yeah, yeah, totally. So I had a religious struggle because, oh God, I don't think I've actually said this. I grew up Catholic, and a very religious Catholic, mind you. My parents not very religious, so sorry, that's my brother. So I kind of carried the religion torch for a long time. Um, so I really, really struggled with the notion of being queer. Obviously, there were the passages in Leviticus that I was wrestling with, and I mean, all kinds of things. I just was in turmoil all the time, until some of my friends sat me down and were like, listen, being queer and religious is not necessarily a contradiction. And really sitting with them, talking with them for however many hours we sat there, really opened my mind. And so that's when I embraced that part of myself, or what I thought was that part of myself at the time. So that was one stage. And after that, I dated somebody, and we went out for like a year. And I came out to a large group of my peers, because I was involved in a theater troupe thing called Echoes of Eve, Eve Ensler. We were initially going to do a performance of The Good Body, but we ended up just enjoying our heart-to-heart conversation so much that we did our own thing. And so part of our icebreakers was standing on a box and just saying something about ourselves, just like letting it out. And so I stood on that box and said, I have a girlfriend. And everyone applauded and really congratulated me and said, oh, that's awesome, and all that stuff. And then I tried to come out to my parents. Now, my parents, they're, as I said, they're not very religious. They're Democrats, so not conservative either. So I thought that coming out to them wouldn't be so bad. And I'd never really heard them say bad things about queer people, so I tried twice, and both times failed miserably. The first time, my mom reached her hand across the table and looked at me straight in the eye and said, honey, I think you're possessed by demons. Would you like to talk to a priest? And I was just completely taken aback for a number of reasons, one of them being I was already a devout Catholic at the time. And then the second time I tried, she apparently told my dad, who started crying, and that just hurt a lot, so I didn't bring up the subject again. And then, sorry, let me close Facebook because it's going to be annoying. Okay, there we go. So then, sometime later, I discovered that I was not, in fact, lesbian because I was not physically attracted to women or to men. So I began to identify with the label asexual. Now, coming out as asexual was a lot easier because no one's really heard of it, and it's not really a controversial identity. I mean, it's really not. I mean, yes, we live in an overly sexualized society, and yes, it's unusual to not want to be a part of that, but no one's really going to, well, at least not in my experience, no one has come to me and said awful discriminatory things. I mean, other people, yes, I've heard some stories, which is just awful beyond belief. But it's not as potentially devastating, I guess, as coming out as gay or lesbian or something else. But you're free to disagree with me, but that's just been my experience. I mean, my friends were totally fine with it. My family, fine with it. They don't understand it, but to them it's probably better than being a lesbian. Now, my trans identity I first came to grips with at school, so I didn't have to contend with my family at that point. So that was a year ago, I believe. Maybe a bit more, actually, like a year and a year and a half. Oh, God, I can't even remember. So, there it was different. I had a trans friend at school, and we spent long hours just unpacking gender and our place on the gender spectrum. And those are really fruitful conversations, and I really miss my friend a lot. I really do. Having her around. To just, because it's tough being on that kind of journey, and it helps to have somebody who's going through something similar to confide in, to just gripe with, just all that. But I came out at school in front of, well, my peers, particularly the Allies Club, and they were, of course, totally accepting, and a lot of faculty and staff that I came out to, they were accepting. I didn't come up against anybody who wasn't accepting. There were just some professors I didn't come out to. So I was coming out at a time that, people at school were first were really becoming aware of trans people and trans identity. So it was starting to become an issue. Sounds like it's a bad thing, but well, a talking point at the school. So gender neutral bathrooms, gender neutral housing. I mean, sure, Don't Ask, Don't Tell was repealed, but should we accept ROTC credits because the armed forces are still discriminating against trans people? So it was quite a time to be one of the few openly trans people on campus. Very, very few, might I add. So at school, I didn't have much of an issue at all. People were curious, and I love talking about my experience, and to educate people, and in hopes that maybe it would encourage other people to come out as well. And since I've been there, more trans people have come out, which is awesome. But at home, that's another story entirely. I mean, my parents have not been understanding at all. They don't even want to talk about it. I mean, I have to film the series very discreetly in my house, or as discreetly as possible. My door doesn't even lock, because my parents just don't want to hear anything. I mean, I've tried to talk about it several times with them. They've yelled at me, in public too. Most recently, they just blew up so badly that they threatened to disown me and kick me out, so I was actually considering running away from here. I haven't yet. I'm still here. So, yeah, it's been tough. So that's at home. And in my job, I'm not out. Well, okay, I'm only out to like a couple people. But they can't call me Herschel in the workplace. They can't refer to me by masculine pronouns because I work in a law firm, and the lawyers tend to be quite conservative and don't want to hear any of that stuff, that strange stuff. So it's hard. I bind at work because I really don't care about that anymore. If they have a problem with it, they can tell me directly. I wear pants and everything like that, but I still get called by my birth name, by female pronouns, and I just have to put up with it if I want to earn my paycheck. And I need that money to move out, and also to pay for tea and everything else that comes on later than on. Anyway, so it's coming out is really a complicated process that involves a lot of judgment and analysis of people that you come across. Whom can you trust? And you're kind of like taking a shot in the dark, trusting some people. Sometimes they can surprise you and be totally accepting and keep your secret if you want to keep it kept. Keep it kept. If you want it, whatever. And other people will disappoint you and either not be accepting as you thought they were, or just broadcast your secret to the whole world. So coming out, it's like being stuck between a rock and a hard place, because staying in all the time, you have to deal with all kinds of inner turmoil and stress. And, well, as Polonius quotes in Hamlet, says in Hamlet, "To thine own self be true." And it's hard to be true to yourself in an unsupportive environment. So you're trapped in this bubble, because you know who you are, but you can't be yourself, your authentic self. But at the same time, being in all the time is stressful, but so can being partially in, partially out, because you're juggling multiple identities, and you have to remember which identity corresponds with which person. It's like, okay, I'm myself to this person, but I'm this person to this person. So it gets stressful and wearisome and frustrating, because You want to just be yourself to everybody, but you can't. For whatever reason, you could get fired, you could get kicked out of the house, so you have to take what you can get. And even being completely out can have its problems, because even if you have the acceptance of friends and family, it doesn't mean you're going to be accepted by society at large. So if you're in an area that is traditionally conservative, religious, etc., you might have a tough time if you're out to everybody. And so you really have to exercise a high amount of discretion. It's almost like treading on eggshells. So yeah, that's been my experience with coming out with the closet from a queer perspective. So full disclosure, as I said before, I did not grow up Jewish in a Jewish household. I'm a convert, a ger, as they say. So I grew up Catholic. I was always more religious than the rest of my family. And I've got a lot of devout Catholics in my extended family, and even some evangelicals, like Pentecostals, Jehovah's Witnesses, people like that. So it's, I guess, diverse from a Christian perspective. But being in this kind of family environment has placed me in an interesting religious closet. So being in the religious closet has many parallels with being in the queer closet. Because, well, I mean, there are certain people in my family I can't come out to as Jewish. Um, you know, grandparents and such like who are so Catholic that you can't even get near the subject of anything besides that. And also, my parents they're not hostile, but they kind of roll their eyes at my religiosity. They always have, really, but especially now. They don't take it very seriously, which is a problem because I take it very seriously, and I want them to see that. But, so I mean, my prayers and stuff, they don't show any interest in celebrating any holidays with me or anything like that. They make some accommodations when it comes to keeping kosher, but, you know, it's hard. So I kind of feel like I can't fully disclose my Jewishness to them. I can only partially disclose it. So you hear of people who grew up in religious Jewish communities, like black hat communities, and that some of them who want to break free kind of carry around a change of secular clothes hidden in like a bag or something, and as soon as they can leave the boundaries of their community, they change into those clothes so they can be their authentic selves and not have to worry. But then when they go back, they have to change back into their traditional garb. For me, it's the opposite. The total opposite. I carry a change of religious clothes in my bag. As soon as I leave here, I change into them so that I can be my authentic self. And so, yeah, being Jewish it's a mainstream religion, or at least considered one now. It was, not, it was more unaccepted back in the old days, but now people know what it is, and so, they're not making as many comments about like Christ killers or anything like that. So it's not terribly controversial, but in my family, it's still unheard of. And so I still have to be cautious of how I express my religion. And in school, when I was in school, I wore my yarmulke all the time, my tzitzis all the time, except in class, because I was self-conscious in class, wearing it in front of my professors, so I wouldn't wear it in class. And when I would wear it walking to Servo or the dining hall or the student union building, people would kind of look at me, but they didn't say anything bad or anything. So I wasn't harassed. but I still got the sense that I was an outsider and expressing or doing something highly unusual um, in the school community. And I didn't mind that. I really didn't. As much in the same way that, I came out as trans in front of everybody and just expressed myself in that way in the hopes of educating and drawing more people out of the woodwork. I thought perhaps if I express my Jewishness in a similar way, it will have the same effect. And it has. I've educated a lot of friends about Judaism and Jewish practice. So it's exciting to have that kind of teaching opportunity. Let's see what else. The workplace where I work, people know that I practice Judaism. They don't know to what extent. Holidays, I haven't really thought about asking off for, like, Tisha B'Av. I wasn't working there for the high holy days, so I didn't have the experience of asking off for days like that. But I'm sure they would be fine with it. So it's all right. I mean, but I wouldn't dress like this in my workplace for a number of reasons. So there's that. And while I'm on the subject, I might as well talk about why I wear this garb in the first place. I mean, I'm not Orthodox. I'm not planning on going that route. So why wear it? And I wear it for a number of reasons. One of them being as a reminder to myself, a visual reminder to myself and to others of my faith and of the commandments that I intend to observe. Judaism is very much a religion of action, a religion of, like, a hands-on kind of religion. So you've got laws governing how you eat, how you interact with people, what you're allowed to do on the Sabbath and what you're not allowed to do. So wearing these clothes kind of, I wouldn't say keep me from straying, but they keep me mindful of what I'm doing. And wearing them actually changes my frame of reference to the world, my approach to how I interact with people and the world at large. So when I'm wearing these clothes, I mean, I'll just kind of like whiz past distracting worldly things. Obviously not all Orthodox Jews who wear these clothes do that, but that's just been my reaction. I don't know, it just kind of like came from within. It was sort of organic. And also, my clothes change the way people interact with me. So, those people who are out in the street handing out those pamphlets to restaurants or whatever, they'll skip over me. Or if I go to sit down on the subway and there's an empty space next to me, ladies generally won't sit there. So it's interesting in that respect. And on the flip side, well, I'll just give an example. When I was in Union Square, I was approached by an Israeli man who came up to me speaking Hebrew, asking me if I was part of Chabad Lubavitch, which is a Hasidic sect that dresses like this. And so he was asking me where the nearest Chabad house was so he could daven or pray Mincha and Ma'ariv. So I was like, I don't know. So I just pulled out my kosher GPS and pointed out the nearest one. And yes, I do have an app for that. So it's been an education for me, dressing as I do. And I want to keep dressing like this because I like it. It's a uniform, in a way. Showing people that I mean business, and I do mean business. I take my faith very seriously. And, but at the same time, I don't want people to judge me as this kind of closed-minded, heteronormative person based on what I wear, because I've surprised people completely by, they see what I'm wearing, then they hear what comes out of my mouth. It's like, whoa, who is this guy? And I went into Blue Stockings dressed like this, but Blue Stockings is a queer, leftist, radical bookshop coffee place on the Lower East Side. And so, I was just hanging out in there, dressed in my garb, no biggie. So, I just want to show people that there's more to an individual than the clothes. So there's that. And also, another reason why I wear these clothes is that they actually help me pass better. I take issue with the concept of passing because it sounds like a test, and like, whose rules are we abiding by anyway? But unfortunately, that's what our society is based off of. And if I'm a guy, I want to be perceived as one. So I do have to play by the rules. And I find that, well, people will be much, much less likely to misgender me if I wear these clothes, because you just won't see a woman wearing clothes like this at all. They see me, they think I'm a religious Jew. Well, I am, but you know what I mean, like an Orthodox um, Jew. And so they'll think, okay, so this person takes their religion seriously. So cross-dressing is forbidden in Orthodox Judaism, so they wouldn't think I'm doing that. So, yeah, I mean, I take what I can get at this point. I probably look like a 13-year-old bar mitzvah boy, but if it helps me pass, I'll deal with it, you know. So, yeah, that's why I wear what I wear. And I'm not ashamed to say that I wear what I wear. Some people may have issues with that, but okay, that's not my problem. And so, yeah, that's my little bit about the closet, the religious and the queer closet. Hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any questions or comments or anything like that, find me on Tumblr, Spacenik, and ask me, send me fan mail if you're a follower. Why not? I mean, so I'm there, and I look forward to seeing you next week.